Welcome back to Face the Nation. I'm John Dickerson. We continue with the chairman of the Republican Party, Reince Priebus. So we'll leave the previous issue. You once said that the way the Electoral College works, Democrats just have to be good. Republicans need to be nearly perfect. Is Donald Trump running a nearly perfect campaign?
Well, let me tell you something. I know this would be a fascinating year for everybody, and we all know that. But I have been, and I think people need to get outside this beltway and get on the road if they were to see what I would see. I see one of the greatest ground game movements on the ground, meaning people coming to events, 20,000 in Middle Pennsylvania, 22,000 in Seattle. This is probably one of the biggest movements as far as people across this country in modern history. And so while everyone loves to analyze Donald Trump all day long, 24/7 on cable, I think people have to look at what the facts are. And we're tied today as we sit here 51 days from the election, and we have a candidate that is capturing the electorate, America. It might not be capturing the pundits, but he's capturing America.
Is he capturing the reluctant Republicans, some of whom are public officials in the Republican Party, who are either in the never Trump or who are in the barely Trump category, which...
Well, I mean, some of the people who ran for president. I mean, but what you have to look at is where are we at with the voters. And where we're at with the voters is one of the last polls that I just saw, nearly 90% of Republicans. I think Mitt was about 91, 92. We need to do a couple more percentage points better, and we're doing that as we move forward. But look, people who agreed to support the nominee that took part in our process, they used tools from the RNC. They agreed to support the nominee. They took part in our process. Private party. We're not a public entity. Mm-hmm. Those people need to get on board. And if they're thinking they're going to run again someday, you know, I think that we're going to evaluate the process of the nomination process, and I don't think it's going to be that easy for them.
Would the party itself penalize somebody who does not make good on the pledge that they made to support the party?
I think these are things that our party is going to look at in the process, and I think that people who gave us their word, used information from the RNC, should be on board. I mean, if you want to take part in the process, sure.
Governor John Kasich. So if he wants to run again, seems like he might want to, he might be out of luck as far as the RNC goes.
Well, look, people in our party are talking about what we're going to do about this. I mean, there's a ballot access issue in South Carolina. In order to be on the ballot in South Carolina, you actually have to pledge your support to the nominee no matter who that person is. So what's the penalty for that? It's not a threat. It's just a question that we have a process in place. And if a private entity puts forward a process and has agreement with the participants in that process, and those participants don't follow through with the promises that they made in that process, what should a private party do about that if those same people come around in 4 or 8 years?
Sounds like a brush pack pitch. But let me ask you one last question. Donald Trump said at one point the debates were rigged because of the nights they were on. He's claimed the moderators are rigged. You have been a part of this process. Has the process been fair? Does it feel fair to you at this point?
Well, there's two parts of that. I mean, as far as our party is concerned, I think I've been straight up and fair the whole way through. And I think people have evaluated what we've done, and I think people understand that I think I played it straight down the middle from the beginning to the end. I do think the media, especially in the cable 24/7 world, is totally obsessed with negative segments on Donald Trump, no matter what it is, and I think that part of it is very unfair.
But the debate part, so far, as far as the nights that's happening, who the moderators are, all that, it's all seems square to you, or?
I think it's square, and I think people are ready to move forward and move on with this, and I think, you know, that first debate is going to be probably one of the biggest events in the history of presidential politics.
All right, Mr. Chairman, thanks so much for being with us.
You bet.
And we'll be right back.